My name is Connie Nshemereirwe, and I teach at the Uganda Martyrs University in Nkozi. And I work in the Faculty of the Built Environment and in the Faculty of Education as a dual appointment. And my main research area is in educational measurement.
What are you working on right now?
I am measuring the literacy and numeracy skills of university students, both those that are entering the university and those that are in their third year of university. So it's a cross-sectional study. And I'm trying to see if being at university has an impact on the development of these skills.
What is the purpose of your research?
Yes, the reason that I decided to specialize in educational research mainly is because I feel that the quality of our education is not often, we say it's poor, but we don't really know what are the specifics of this quality. And so we just think, oh, we need more teachers, or we need more buildings, or we need more this. But I find that it's really critical to measure the skills that this education of ours gives us, and to think about the skills that we want and see what the gap is. So educational measurement allows one to really measure the performance of their own system so that they can have a more targeted input rather than just guessing we need more this or more that. So that's why I do educational measurement.
What did you find out?
So the main research that I've done in measurement of late has been at the university level, and I've been measuring the skills of university students in their first and final year of university, basically in literacy and numeracy, using items from the PISA survey, which is the Program for International Student Assessment. And the thing which surprised me in my findings was that the university students in some items perform worse than the average 15-year-old in the PISA survey. And worse still, that the items on which they perform worse, these are the items that require higher order skills. And on the other hand, though, it confirms what other researchers have found, that if the foundational skills are not well developed, then higher level skills are going to be difficult to develop. So the university students can do very well items in literacy and numeracy that require lower order skills, but really struggle with items that require higher order skills, which is really surprising because the students who are at university are the best students in the country. They're the ones who can get to university. So what does that tell us about all the other students that drop out or that don't go that far? So that's rather worrying, I think.
But the problem starts actually at school. There is a UNESCO report from 2015 that says that there are children who have been at school for 3 years who are not able to write and read. Why?
It's quite true. I've actually been at a school where I have met children who have been in school for 3 years and they cannot read a word like ball or really simple words. And I think the problems are several. One is that the children who enroll in the first few years of school are a lot. The classes are really large. And to teach such foundational skills, literacy and numeracy, to a class of 90 or 100 is nearly impossible for one teacher. And further, a lot of these children are in rural areas where they may not have ever come across English. Some do not have any books at home. Some have never even written the letter A or B. So when they start and some do not go to pre-primary school. They don't go to kindergarten. They don't have any access to this kind of school. So when they arrive in the first year of primary school, it's a lot to learn, and the teacher cannot really give each student enough attention. So yeah, it's possible for them to come to school for all these years and never learn how to read. And the problem that it really continues through the education system, because the emphasis on learning how to read and on counting and so on actually stops as, they go to the 4th year of primary school and 5th year of primary school. So they end up just sort of learning somehow and not learning properly. So yes, that's part of the problem.
If you had the possibility, what would you change tomorrow?
If money was not a problem, and if time was also not a problem, if everything could happen in an instant, I would have much better trained teachers, at least graduate teachers in every primary school. That's one. Two, I would have new books produced that depict the normal situation of children in Uganda. I find that a lot of books that are available for children to learn how to read depict situations that are foreign to them. So they show children bouncing a ball, and a lot of rural children have never seen a ball bouncing. Or they depict children riding a pony or whatever it is. I mean, they're really, I find, inappropriate. So straight away, I would want to have books that teach how to read, that depict the daily situations of the children, especially in the rural area, because that's where the majority of children are. And immediately I would also have teachers of a quality of at least a university graduate in every primary school. I think for me this would be the biggest improvement at this moment, yeah.
What motivates you?
The thing that motivates me is that I really believe that education liberates. Education can liberate someone. For me, education is a good education, or the purpose of education is to create a liberated person, to create a person who thinks about things themselves, who's critical, who feels able to transform their own reality and to choose their reality. So education plays a very big role. If we can have an education that is purposeful in liberating people, in giving them the skills to be who they are, to participate in society, I think this has a very big role to play in creating a society that is proud of, that chooses who to become and is proud of who they are. So the thing that really motivates me to continue doing educational research and to make sure that every child has the opportunity to really become educated is so they can be liberated, so they can be free, so they can do what they feel like, when they feel like.
And what drives you in life?
The thing that drives me in life generally is something that has been driving me for the last 15 years or so, and that is the possibility to become what I can become or who I should become. And along the way, I've really been very careful always to look inside and think, who are you? What are your skills? What are your capabilities? How do you feel about things in the world? And how should you change your world or your life to become more of who you are? And at some point, actually, it was a bit difficult to really embrace this because I felt that I could be really excellent. I could be a leader, for instance. But then I felt like, on the other hand, why should I be the person in front saying things that are not popular, for instance, or being the first person to point out this or the other? But no, I thought, no, I should really be who I am and do what I should do. And this is the thing that drives me, really, to become who I am or who I should be.
Who is Connie?
Who is Connie? Of late, I've begun to identify as a leader, as a person who stands up for what is right, as a person who speaks without fear about something that is not going right, or the person who because sometimes you're in a situation where everyone is afraid to say what's going on or be the first to point out something that's wrong. And these days I've decided as a leader, I should always be the first to do it. And it's always in very small ways. I mean, if the room is too warm, if we're in a conference, I'm the one who will go and say, hey, the room is too warm, cool it down a little bit. Small things like those. But also, if something is not going right in the government or the country, I will write to the newspaper and say something. Or if at the university they bring up a policy that I think is not very well thought out, I will send an email about it. So of late, I've really begun to identify as a leader.
What does a leader do?
That's a very good question. I used to think that a leader is the person who has the power or the influence. A leader can have influence, but then it's not an issue of power. It's an issue of relationship. If you can persuade another person to see things a certain way or to think about things and make up their mind about it, I think that's what a leader does. You spread the truth around you. You build relationships. You participate in society actively. I think that's what a leader does. And that's what I try to do.
Do you have a dream, or is there something that you dream of for the future?
Yes, I do have a dream for the future. I really dream of Ugandans specifically, but Africans generally, as a people that can come to decide who they are and be proud of who they are and choose to become, rather than I feel that we don't have a very clear vision of what we should be, or we don't feel very comfortable in the world. We feel a little bit behind, a little bit inferior. We don't appreciate ourselves. We don't appreciate our culture. We don't appreciate our skills. So for me, the dream is to see Ugandans and Africans in general as people who are proud and who know who they are and are proud of it and choose to become who they are. So for me, I don't know if it's a very clear dream or sort of a very...
It's a beautiful dream.
Okay, that's the dream.
And what kind of society do you dream of?
Yes, what kind of society do I dream of? I've recently been reading the work of a philosopher called Paulo Freire, who's a Brazilian. And he says that the vocation of humans is to become. And that any system that prevents a human being from becoming, becoming who they are, is an oppressive system. And so the society that I really dream of is a society where everyone has the opportunity to become who they are. To be a gymnast if they want to be a gymnast. To be a musician if they want to be a musician. To be an artist if they want to be an artist. To be a mother if they want to be a mother. So a society that creates the environment where everyone can become who they are, for me, would be the ideal society.
Thank you so much, Connie.
You're welcome.